mail. Yeah, the latest one. Yeah,
Very
please send.
straightforward question.
Huh?
See this one. Just copy the data.
I did this, Priya. Actually, later on, yeah, I could do this.
See here, it's very straightforward thing. I don't know why you have used so many procedures here. Just simply instead of class, use by
I
statement.
used, but yeah, later on, yeah, for
No need to
before.
create an output data set also. If you create an output data set, it will give you an in a different way. You won't get statistics like this. This one you will get in an output window.
Yeah, the reason I did was if I'm not doing the output,
Mm.
I was not able to drop them frequency and type. I don't know, it gave me such a hard time to drop. So then when I used the output statement, then I could easily drop them off. That's the reason I used
No,
outputs.
but this will draw. It will drop only in an output data set, but not in an.
Yeah, actually, if
Output,
you
right?
open the latest one, it has proc sort everything. I sent you just now, like 5 minutes ago, I sent you one.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Yes.
has.
I think it should give you. See, first sort the data and then use proc means. That's it. Is it here?
Can you open the latest one, which I said, Priya? Yeah.
Proc sort.
Because in that it was not giving for me. This is the latest one, right?
Hmm.
See, if you run this,
Hmm.
like how you got customer ID 1 and customer ID 2, in that way I wasn't getting it. That's what I wanted actually.
Why? See the same code. Again, here you are creating a new data set.
Okay, if I don't do the output, then
No,
I'll
it
get
doesn't
it.
matter whether you are keeping output. If you keep output, it will not change an report in an output window.
But I wasn't. Can you like let's keep this like this? Can you run the code which I wrote and just see like why am I not able to get it? Because I tried and I wasn't able to get it. That's why I was using this.
Here you are creating a new data set. That's it. See, and it will create a new data set called flow2.
So I wasn't getting like this. My output wasn't coming like that. I don't know. In the okay, you got this in the output, right?
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
No, no. Your code is correct. Here you are creating an actual data set. That's it. They are asking for this output.
Yeah, they're asking for this output, and
Hmm.
yeah, maybe I wasn't doing it right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, others? Any questions?
No.
Okay. So today,
Priya,
yeah. Hmm.
when we are doing joins, you have mostly taught like if there are two tables, then we know how to do it. And merge also we didn't discuss, right? If we have to do more than two tables, did we discuss in merge
Merge also
the
give
data?
the dataset names.
That's it.
Yes. If you are merging three datasets, so all the three datasets should have the same common variable. And
Of
you
course.
sort by that and then that's it. Merge ABC by so and so variable. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
And today let's discuss about macros. Macros is completely different. Till now, whatever we have seen is different and macros is different. Here, Before learning about macros, we should know what are macro variables and how to create them. Macro variables, there are two types of macro variables are there, global macro variables and then local macro variables. Global means we can use anywhere in SAS. Local macro variable means only in that particular macro that will work. They're limited to that particular macro, but global means anywhere, either in a proc step or in data step, anywhere we can use a global macro variable. Let's see how to create the global macro variables. Macros will use percentile and ampersand. These two are macro triggers. Whatever the code we write, each and every keyword we have to use a percentile symbol. Percent let a equals to 1, or suppose percent let a equals to SAS help dot class. Now I'm creating a macro variable called a, and for that a I'm assigning this value. So wherever I want to write this SAS help dot class, I can just simply use this macro variable. So let's run this. It created. So if you want to check the value of a, here we have to use put statement, percent put ampersand a. Whenever we are using these macro variables, we have to write with ampersand. Now put statement will give you the value in the log window. So go to log window and check. See, a value is as help.class. In case if I want to print that one, here I'll write proc print data equals to ampersand a and then run. It will print as help.class. See? Because ampersand a is nothing but SAS help. If you want to use in a data step data class, set ampersand a and then run. Now it will create a class dataset. See? So this one we can use, this is a global macro variable. We can use anywhere in a proc step or in a data step like this. And okay, let's see one more example. Percent let a equals to 1, percent let b equals to 2. Now remember, macro variables are neither characters nor numerics. See, if it is a character, what I should do? I should give the value in quotations, right?
Yeah.
But here I haven't given in quotations, still it's working. And
Mm-hmm.
if it is a numerics, no need to give in quotations. But actually these are neither characters nor numerics. So here, percent let a equals to 1 and b equals to 2. I created two macro variables. Now I want to check the value of a plus b. So I'll write percent put ampersand a plus ampersand b. So in the log window, what it will display?
Observations.
Hmm?
Observations.
3
No. What is
plus
ampersand?
1 plus 2. It will show, I think, 1 plus 2.
Yes, it will just show 1 plus 2 because these are neither characters nor numerics. So it will not perform any calculation. A is 1 and B is 2, so 1 plus 2. That's it. In case if you want to perform a calculations, if you want to convert this into numeric, here we have to use percent eval function. Percent eval of A and B. Now it will do that calculation and it will give you 3. Okay. Let's see one more example. Now 1.5 and 2.5. Now what it will give in the log window?
Okay, 4.0.
I throw an error, I think.
See? It is giving an error because a character operand was found in the percent eval function or if condition. The condition was this one. Here the thing is, if it is in decimals, percent eval will not work. It will work only for integers, only for the whole numbers. So if you have decimals, here we have to use percent syseval f. Now this will work for decimals. See, now it's
This.
giving you 4. Clear?
Mhm.
Now let's see how to create a macro. Creating a macro is very easy. Suppose if you want to create a macro for print procedure. So here proc print data equals to sasshelp
As
dot
you-
class
no.
and then run. What is the use of macro actually?
It will create a shortcut.
Yes. See, this code is there. So today I want to print this as help.class. So I have written this code. Tomorrow I want to
Mhm.
use the same code. Day after tomorrow I want to use the same code. So like that. So what to do? If I want to use the same code, tomorrow also I have to write the same code, right?
Mhm.
So instead of writing multiple times, here I can just create a macro and I can use that whenever I want. So creating macro is very easy. On top write percent macro, give one macro name and close with percent mn macro end. That's it. Now it will create a catalog. Observe on the left hand side, it will create a catalog. See, print macro. Now if you want to you print this sasshelp.class, we'll call it as calling a macro or executing the macro. Just percent print. Now it will print sasshelp.class. So whenever you want to print this data set, we can just simply write percent print. That's it. Instead of writing this code.
How to save it in permanent library?
Yeah, that I'll teach you later. Once macros is done, then I'll teach you how to save them. Okay. So now is this clear?
So when you macrotize it, it will the macro. Now you said like when we created the macro print, it by itself got saved in the catalog, right?
Macro itself,
Yeah.
it will form as a catalog,
Okay.
like formats.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay. Now here, okay. For this data set, there is a print macro. But in real time, do we work only on a single data set?
No.
Then, if I want to print these three, what to do? Is it easy to create so many macros for all the datasets?
No.
Then what is the solution for that?
Maybe the same thing can be created somehow.
Then we can make use of this macro. We have to create in such a way that a single macro can be used for all the datasets. It should be very flexible. What to do for that? So instead of directly giving the macro dataset name, declare a macro variable, some dz. And this macro variable, we have to pass it as a parameter here, dz equals to, and percent print. If you want to print sasshelp.class, write sasshelp.class. And now I want to print another dataset, print dset equals to sasshelp.air, percent print dset equals to flowers, like this. So I can use this, if I create a macro for a print procedure, I can use that macro for any dataset. See, now I'll run this. It will print. If you want, you can run separately, or you can do batch execution as well. Now sasshelp.air, it is printing that one, and flowers. See? Is that clear?
Instead of writing a proc step, we are
Not
giving.
proc step. Directly, instead of directly writing the macro, sorry, dataset name, declare it as a macro variable. In case if you are not creating a macro here, so how many steps we have to write? For each and every data step, we have to write these
Four,
lines,
2 3 lines. Yeah.
right?
So,
As proc print is a simple procedure, it's okay. But in case if you have a lengthy procedures, so many statements, and the same procedure we have to use for all the data sets, then in that case macro is easy. So are you clear how to create a macro?
yeah.
Okay. Now let's see for another procedure. Now if I want to sort the data set, so write proc sort data equals to SAS help dot class out equals
By
to class by sex variable and then run. So macro, how to create a macro? Write %macro sort. See, if you are pretty much confident, you can start from %macro and then giving the dataset names or the macro variables. But if you start with a macro, all the codes will be in black color. So if any error is there, sometimes some syntax errors we can identify here itself by color change. See, if
yeah.
Yeah.
this is not there, see. So if any mistake is there here, we can easily identify. So if you are confident, just start from %macro or else first write the code and then write %macro and end with %mend. That is macro end. Now when I sort this data set, so write sort. So what will happen? It will create a class dataset and sorted by sex variable. See, females and then males. But again, this sort macro is used only for this dataset. So if you want to make it very flexible, then here write, give some name and here in new dataset and by variable. Now what we can, okay, pass them as a parameters. Rename equals to comma, new equals to comma, and what else? By where.
But
So now here we can use that for any data set, like dname equals to class, new equals to class, and
Yeah,
by variable
we are we are defining it, right?
what?
Are we defining the sort, percent sort?
Yes, we are
The
using
way,
calling that macro here. We created a macro and we are executing that macro. And okay, if you want to use for another data set like SAS user.blood and create a blood data set sorted by variable is age group, something like this. So for whatever the data set we want, we can use that. See, now when I run these codes, it will create two data sets, blood and class, sorted by these variables. Is that clear? Now creating macro is an easy thing, but you should know the SAS procedure. Suppose if you don't know how to write a SAS syntax, sort syntax, then how can you create a macro for sort? So we can use for any procedure, for data step or for a proc step. So many procedures are there, like proc frequency, proc means, many are there. Or for a lib name, if you want to create a, or proc export, proc import, whatever the procedure is there, we can use that. That's why I told you creating macro is easy, but you should know the syntax. Do you remember in the last class? Okay. So this is called defensive coding. Like if you are creating declaring a macro variables and if you are making use that, then we will call it as a defensive coding. Usually in real time we'll use like this only. Directly we won't declare the dataset name or the variable names. So here there are two types of parameters are there. One is called positional parameter and another one is keyword parameter. Keyword parameter means here we'll just write like equals, 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 and we can give in any order. Suppose this one dname, if you want to declare here, we can declare. Or by variable, if you want to give it front, first we can give that. Because here it doesn't matter whether here first dname is there and here it should be dname. It doesn't matter like that. Because every time we are declaring the variable, macro variable name. This is called keyword parameter. That means depends on the key. What is this? Macro variable. Another one is called positional parameter. Positional parameter means here we'll write like this: dname, new, and then by where. So, and whenever we are sorting, percent sorted. No need to again write the macro variable name. Directly we can give the value. Like,
But you have to follow the same.
yes, same order. And then class and by variable is age. Like this. In case by mistakenly if you shuffle the order, then what will happen?
Error.
Yes. Because the same dataset name and the variable names will not be there, right? So we'll end up with an errors here. So both will give you a same output, but here we should be very, very careful whether all the macro variables and the values are in the same order or not.
Maybe it's better to use always the keyword
Yes,
than
keyword.
use.
Usually in real time we'll use keyword parameters only.
Oh,
Okay. And in real time, as we are not the first ones to work in that company, right? So someone will already create the macros and they'll save the macros. So just they'll give you an information, okay, so and so folder, these macros are there and these are the macro variables. So we can just make use of them. But in case if they ask you to create a macro, you should know how to create a macro. Is that fine? Are you clear? Okay. Now, what else? Okay, now these are called local macro variables. Because what is dname? Only sort can understand, right? Suppose if you
yeah.
use the dname here, can print can understand what is dname?
No.
No. And also, okay, if you think this is a macro variable and if you try to print outside the macro, use outside the macro, percent, put ampersand, dname and run this. Go to log window. See? Apparent symbolic reference dname not resolved. This warning is for macro variable. Whenever we use any macro variable which is not created, it will throw this warning. But actually here, this is a macro variable, right? But it will work only in this macro, only in this sort macro. That's why we'll call this as a local macro variable. And if you run any macro which is not created, like percent ABC. Percent ABC macro we haven't created, right? ABC macro. But I am just running this. Now check the log window. See here it is showing apparent invocation of macro ABC not resolved. Observe the difference between these two warnings because they may ask in certifications. If it is showing symbolic reference, then that is for macro variable. If it is showing invocation of macro, then that is for a macro catalog. Okay. What else is there? Hmm. Yeah, we have used in Proxies. In case, now tell me, I want to create two datasets from sashelp.class. One is a male dataset, another one is a female dataset. Use the variable sex and all the male records should go into male dataset and all the female records should go into female dataset.
If sex
Let
is
me
equal to
complete my
male,
question. and also takes as user dot blood. And do you have an idea? Here we had gender or blood group. Different blood groups are there. O, A, B, and B. Right? Now I want to create 4 data sets, that is A, B, AB, and O, by using blood group variable. Now tell me how to write a code for this.
We will
A
write
class.
a
If sex is equal to male, then
Data, tell me.
wait,
Male.
data set.
Hmm. Hmm.
If
Continue.
let's
if
let's
sex is
Sets as help dot class.
dot class
Hmm.
SAS user dot plan.
no, if sex is equal to M,
Hmm.
then male.
Already you have written male there.
Mm,
See.
If sex is equal to F,
It is in red color, so there is a mistake.
Then output male.
Yeah.
So here just
Comma female.
female, and then here then output female. Okay. Now this code is used only for this data set, right?
Yeah.
I want to use for this also for the another data set. So here 4. So will you write another data set with 4 if statements?
No,
Then
we
what?
can use a array.
So can't we complete within a single data step by using a macro?
without macro, can we do that?
Without macro also we can do. But the thing is, we have to write so many statements here, right?
Yes.
So here the same thing using where statement also we can write.
Yeah.
Where sex equals to M
Mhm.
and then run. Now you can do that by using if statement also, but what if you use if statement, we are not sure how many if statements or how many conditions we have to use for different data sets. In this case 2, in this case 4. Now here suppose if you declare this as a macro, just give some macro name, multi, and then
Nine.
close with emend. Now here it will create a male data set, this multi. But I want to use for other data sets also and for other values also. So here, directly giving the dataset name, I can just give it some
%.
yes and copy from old dataset. And here this variable also varies, right? Here it is a sex and here it is blood group. So here also declare one macro variable and value also differs. So just one macro and pass them as a parameters here. Like old equals to new and then what else? Var
Wow.
val. And now run this percent multi old equals to male. Oh sorry. Old equals to SAS help dot class and then new equals to male. Variable is sex and value is M. Now copy this.
For female, we have to write.
Sorry?
For female, we have to write.
Yes, for female just use F. And for SAS user dot blood, user dot blood and create a dataset and variable is blood group
Blood.
and the value is A. Right? The same thing we need to repeat for these 3 also.
Yeah.
See a male and then female. A will have only blood group A, values, records, and female dataset will have only female records, and then male dataset will have only male records. So if you have this macro, just simply we can do that by writing a single statement for each condition, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you are not creating a macro, what to do then? We have to write this statement, same these four lines for all the conditions.
Yeah, like for.
So here macros are used to reduce the repetition of the code. So guys, are you getting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So again here, you should know how to create this one. Without knowing this code, again we can't create a macro. So you have to practice first all the SAS codes, all the statements, procedures, and then practice these macros. Are you guys clear?
Yes.
Mhm. So shall I continue? Or you want to practice till here?
You can continue.
Okay. Now, till now we have just used only one procedure here, right? Like only proc print or proc sorter or only one data structure. Now, I want to use multiple procedures in a single macro. So what to do here? First write all your procedures. Proc sort data equals to your dataset name, and then out equals to new dataset
Now, so,
by sex variable, and then run. And now I want to use proc frequency. Proc freq data equals to class, and your by variable is sex, and your table variable is age, and then run. Proc means data equals to class by sex variable, and var always a numeric variable age, and then run. And proc print data equals to print the data set. Now these are the four codes.
Yeah, I have a question. So when in proc means when you're using by variable, that say suppose we have to classify and we are using multiple variables, then you can't use by, right? Then that is when we use classification.
By also will do that classification. The difference is by
but
here it will group them. See, in your flowers data set in an output, it is giving you with lines, right? It is separating.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, it will give you in such a way if you use by.
What is the? I'm still not clear why. Because I know you mentioned that like it will give a combination. Like initially it gives zeros. To get that off, we are using by when you're using proc
That
means.
in a data set.
Yeah, in the data set.
Mm.
But like I'm still not clear when to use by and when to use class. There is no distinguish.
No, if you require all the other information also, then we'll use class. Suppose here
I'm
I
sorry.
just want only the, what is this?
Right.
Let me run this. Output out equals to, see, now here what by variable is giving? Females, all these statistics, and males, all these statistics, right?
Yes. Mhm.
If we use class, then it will give you overall. First, it will give you overall. Where is, see,
It will give both actually.
for all the 19 subjects, and then female separately, and then male separately.
Yeah.
This is the difference.
So get to get rid of that we are using by.
Yes.
Okay. So even I know on the by variable we can use more variables like on how we are using on the classification.
Mm.
But other than this, there is no difference why we are using by and class, right? We can use anything.
Yes, we can use anything.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So when there is in an output, if you don't want to sort, we can just, if you want this output, just simply if you use class, that is fine. Instead, if you are using by, first we have to sort the data set and then use the by.
Yeah.
Right. So now these are the 4 procedures. I want to create a macro. So what I'll do, I'll just simply write % macro many, and then I'll close with %m. Now if I want to run, I can just simply write %many. What will happen? It will do all the procedures for this data set. First see, sorted, frequency, means, and then printing. In case if you want to use for other data sets, then here we'll declare a macro variable, right?
Yeah.
Like a new data set and by variable, and here table variable, analysis variable.
Yeah. Next to proc frequency data. Yeah.
And now here we'll pass them as a parameters like d set equals to new equals to by var, what else,
A-var.
t var,
A-var.
and then analysis variable a var. And these are your wish, whatever the names you want, you can keep them. Okay. Now, if I want to call the macro, I'll just simply declare all these here in many equals to, right? Here I'll write many and d set equals to new equals to class, by variable equals to 6, and analysis variable is age, and also table variable is also age in this example. Now, if I want to use for another data set, d set equals to slash user dot bled, and new equals to bled, and by variable is gender, and analysis variable is RBC, and table variable is RBC. Like this we'll use. So let's run this. Something went wrong.
Yeah, in the above,
By where?
you didn't put
Okay.
the comma.
See, frequency means printing and frequency means and printing for both the data sets. Now, my condition is, my requirement is, I don't want to use all the procedures present in the macro for a single data set. For example, for the first data set, just use only sort and frequency. For the second data set, use means and sort. Another data set, I just want to only print. How to make
So,
macro, how to convert this macro for that?
Give different data set names so that we can call them.
Even though if I give the different data set names here, whatever the macro variables are there, I have to use all the macro variables, right? To call this macro.
Yeah.
So here we have to give a condition for each procedure. That means
Yeah. That.
I'll write, suppose %if my condition equals to S, then do this procedure. Do is there, so close with end.
And
Else if my condition equals to frequency f, then do this procedure. If my condition equals to m, then do this procedure. If my
yeah.
condition is p, then print this. Finally close with %end. Now condition is also there, so pass that as a parameter. Now here, for a first data set, I want to use SAS help, sort. So first sort means
Condition.
condition is yes, and in that sort procedure, what are the macro variables are there? Dset, new, and byware. So here
Okay.
dset equals to class and new equals to class, by variable is 6. And I want to use for another data set also. So percent many dset equals to, our condition is yes,
F.
and then dset equals to user dot bled, and then create a new data set called bled and sort by gender variable. And now I want to do frequency for first data set. So for frequency we have given a condition called condition equals to f, and then what else are there in that? New byware tware. So new equals to class. Here by variable, here we sorted by sex variable, and the table variable is age. And for blood dataset, I want to use proc means. So condition equals to m, new equals to blood, and it contains by variable is gender, and then analysis variable is RBC. Right? Are you getting? So let's run this and see. See here, for the first one, it sorted both the data sets and then giving the frequency for class and then means for second data set. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So in this macro called many procedures are there. So whatever the procedure you want, we can just use that procedure. Is that clear? Okay. So for today, I'll send you these notes. In these notes, there are many other things also. I haven't completed macros yet. So just practice these, whatever the topics I completed. So remaining we'll see tomorrow. Okay. So there are some few functions also there. Options, functions, everything that we'll see tomorrow. Or if you want me to explain some other one more topic also, I'll explain.
I think this is good too. They need to practice.